Oh, hello there. You're looking good. You know that? Welcome to another Office Hours capsule. That's right, capsule. This is a small segment of my Office Hours live stream where you can join chat with me talking about Star Citizen and other things. We had a conversation about ancient empires and how they should be more influencing in Star Citizen's naming conventions. We've talked about, I just literally going on a rant about Outlaw Star, which is a good anime. You should go watch it. So we also talk about, we watched the Star Citizen live. We talked about, ship names and stuff like that. So join us for that. Twitch.tv/TheAstroPub, YouTube.com/TheAstroPub live on Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Would love to have you come join us live here. And with that, let's move on to our discussion today. You can already tell based off of whatever title I put on this, which is probably be a little negative, that this is a bit of a downer news. We're going to look at the roadmap roundup for July 2nd, and it's got some good news and some bad news. So let's take a look at the roadmap roundup itself, and then we'll kind of go over what this actually means for Star Citizen. All right, roadmap roundup, 7/2/25, 6 p.m. Hello, everyone. We accompany the roadmap roundup with a brief explanatory note to help you insight on decision-making lead to any changes. This part is an effort to make our communications more transparent, more specific, and more insightful for all of you and make Star Citizens 142 possible. Just a reminder, the 1.0 column showcases features and content to plan for inclusion before Star Citizen 1.0. This means you may not have to wait for it for the 1.0 release to experience them. As features and content in the 1.0 column become ready, they will migrate to the left to a point patch column for release. Be sure to check back every 2 weeks for the latest updates. All right. Notable changes for July 2nd. Release view. New hairstyles. Added 2 additional hairstyles. Tentative for 4Q1. Global event tracking services. Implementing a new system allowing for our systems to track players' progression across multiple shards. This will be first used in conjunction with our new global event coming in Alpha 421. It can be found in the MobiGlass Journal Second Life resource drive. I really hope they have their own. Move away from the journal, though. It's kind of weird, but set it to tentative. Mission collection. Improving Wicklow's missions, allowing for players to specify and focus on the ships and gear they want to unlock. Set to tentative. Medium utility armor strata corporation liveries. The new medium utility armor strata corporation liveries is a result of participating in 421's global event. To tentative. So this is all good for 421. If you've been paying attention to it in 421, a lot of this stuff is there, so it's pretty cool. Now let's move on to a little bit different for 4.3, because I will start off by saying 4.3 is likely to release either in August or September. And we're likely going to get 4.4 in either November or December, which means these are likely the last 2 patches we're going to get anything. 4.3 or 4.4 we'll get any sort of content that's not, content that is specifically feature-based. So engineering, scanning, crafting, base building, Nix are all things that would be in one of these. But based off of what we've seen, what we're going to talk about in 4.3, I think it's likely that we're not going to see any new features whatsoever this year. But I'll go over my thoughts here. But first, let's see what's the good parts about 4.3. Cooperative zones. Not an event, not a sandbox, like contested zones, but opposite, where investigation, puzzle solving, and cooperation with players around will make competing the objectives easier. And then abandoned underground facilities. Located on every moon of the Stanton system, these enormous multi-level structures are used to create the new cooperative zones coming in Alpha 4.3. I don't mean to sound just derisive, but I've nicknamed these the cope zones, because they feel like CIG coping with players not liking cooperative or the other stuff they've been doing. I do have some critique of this, because one of the problems that CIG doesn't understand is that if you require an event to have multiple people, like 6-7 people to complete, all it's going to take is one person being a little punk to be able to throw a wrench in it to make everybody else's day worse. And people will 100% do that. So unless there's some sort of instancing or some sort of preventative measure to prevent people from shooting each other, like some sort of safety zone or something like that. I don't know how well these are going to go. These may just turn into the same problem for every other PvP zone. That it's just PvP. They're going to be instanced. You're a Debbie Downer. Well, we don't see any. There's no evidence here that says that they're instanced. I would love for them to be the instance. Don't get me wrong. And if you're a member of CIG and you have a different instrument, let me know. I'd love to actually like the cope zones, but right now they're just a cope zone. But I am interested in the abandoned underground facilities because this feels a lot like what they talked about with the depths, with the municipal works and the depths, which is the municipal works was the PvP VE experience under Area 18, and the depths was the sort of dungeon below that, which is instanced. The idea of having underground facilities on these moons does feel like at least sections of these depths gameplay. So we could see this as a testing ground for that zone that they talked about in the past. Yes, that's what we're talking about, Django, is this right here. Volt Laser Sniper Zenith, implementing the latest in the Volt series of weapons. Okay, Light Sniper Armor Geist. Ooh. It's adding a new sniper light armor Geist, specialized in stealth gameplay with high mobility. Now, that tells me that they're going to be doing scanning gameplay soon. So this does throw a wrench in some of my negative stuff, but I don't know. We'll see. Medium Utility Armor Ambrose. The new Medium Utility Armor Ambrose coming in 4.3.x. So that's not coming out in the release of 4.3. It's going to come out sometime in the 4.3 life cycle. New hairstyles in 4.3. Adding new hairstyles. So they've been doing that pretty much with every patch. Ladder improvements. This was important. Improving the reliability and use of ladders in game. They did show off some of the stuff they did with Squadron 42 a while back. Hopefully this is at least some of that. AI FPS turrets, adding anti-personnel turrets for players to avoid or destroy, providing additional PvE challenges. Very nice. It's something that we've seen in the game before. Nice to see it in there. Mission pickup on location, enabling new missions to be discovered and added to journals when you approach or enter a designated area. That's also nice, so you don't have to go to the Moby-Glass a bunch or that kind of stuff. So, and Wicklow special ships 4.3, adding the following special ships to Wicklow's Emporium: Misk Starlance Attack, Drake Golem, Anvil Terrapin Medic with upgraded components. These ships will be unlocked, bringing the NPC Wicklow number of favors in exchange for rewards. Cards that's a tentative. All right, so overall, this is a pretty good thing. Most of the stuff is cool. I do like the idea of cooperative zones, though I am a little pessimistic on how they're going to be implemented. I like the idea of the additions of the underground facilities. The stealth gameplay seems interesting because the stealth gameplay implies scanning, FPS scanning, and ladder improvements. The idea of these little turrets, automated turrets, always a good addition to video games as a sort of a environmental hazard. And of course, the new Wicklow stuff and new missions. All this is good. Now let's go to the negative stuff. The problem with this is none of this won't be added. I want to add that. I'm not intentionally being a complete downer, but none of this includes the features that we would likely see in this patch. 4.3, like I said, is likely to release in August or September. My guess is probably more September than August, simply because August is a big month outside of the United States for summer. I know places in East Asia that basically take that whole month off. I know companies in Europe often take large sections of that month off for summer break, and schools have that month off. That's usually their summertime. So I would imagine CIG mostly being in Europe, that could probably end up being a thing. I don't know about Canada. That might be a thing in Canada too, but we'll see. Thus, it's, in my opinion, based off the information I have at hand, it's likely going to be September. I'd love to be wrong, but we'll see. with either a probably not a 4.2, but more like just a skip month. We had one skip month already. I think it was April where you didn't get a patch. And that would make sense to me. September, October, November, and December, for the last 4 months of the year, all with their own patches. That tracks with me. That's the busiest month of the year. That's where we get the most players. Generally speaking, that's what we see. But because we don't see any mention of engineering or FPS scanning or regular scanning or crafting or any of those sorts of things, it is unlikely, in my opinion, that we will see it in 4.3. So if we don't see it in 4.3, then the only time we could see it is 4.4, which could be a thing. But I also highly doubt CIG is going to drop. They've never really done it. While we've all liked to cope and hope that CIG does one big content patch at the end of the year, they rarely do it. And when they do it, it usually breaks the game. See 4.0's preview patch. That doesn't mean they don't do it, but they tend to not to, especially in a year where they've declared as the year of stability or playability. I can't remember exactly what it is. The idea being to focus on the gameplay itself and the experience itself. I'd highly doubt that the last part of the year they'll add those things, especially since they're going to be doing a preview build for engineering in the next 2 months, between this month right now in July and August. At least that's what they said. They've said it in the past, and then it sort of floated away into the distance, so who knows. So the bad stuff is, I am going to say we're probably not going to get engineering and scanning or NICs or any features or new content other than what we've been getting on a drip feed over the last year in this year. Will we get it next year? I couldn't tell you. CIG seems to be more focused on improving the gameplay, for better or for worse. I think a lot of people enjoy this, but they also seem to be very scared and frightened of adding major features like the new implementation of, like on it, Vulkan, and scanning and engineering and stuff like that. And yeah, as the more negative side, as Fishy says in chat, why does this feel like CIG is hitting some giant roadblock and not telling us again? Because it could happen. CIG is notorious for not telling us anything, because if you remember correctly, they said, I think sometime in May, that they were going to do a engineering preview in June. And then afterwards they said, well, it's probably going to be more like a month later. That's why I'm not saying July. I'm saying July or August, because CIG could kick that countdown down the road even further. So there's something that's going wrong inside CIG. And when they're going wrong, CIG shuts up and doesn't say anything. So we probably won't know until they're either about to release it or start talking about it again. So who knows? I hope I'm wrong. I'm hoping that they add 4.3. They say, oh yeah, we're gonna do engineering and scanning, because those are the two things I personally thought they'd be able to get done this year. It seemed like those are the things they had the most fleshed out. Though I did think that they were going to take engineering and break it up into 17 different pieces and then release them in 17 different versions, because that's what CIG does all the time, and they seem to have notified that they're going to do that. So, but as always, I want to hear your thoughts down below. Am I being a negative Nancy? Am I being too harsh on CIG? Or do you agree that CIG seems to be slipping up on no features this year? Thank you. As always, let me know down below in the comments. And if you did enjoy this content, join me live. To do that, just make sure you hit that subscribe button, like the video. It does help promote the content to other people easily. It tells the YouTube that, hey, I enjoyed this, which then tells YouTube to suggest it to other people. So, and that does a lot to help me out as well. And hit the bell icon to be notified when these release and when I go live. Remember, twitch.tv/TheAstroPub and youtube.com/TheAstroPub Live to join me. And if you enjoy lore content, I do lore content on youtube.com/TheAstroHistorian, and I do a weekly podcast about Star Citizen called The Captain's Table, which now resides at youtube.com/@TheCaptain's Table Live. Thank you for watching, and as I always say, hope to see you someday in the black.